When I was 18, I had a car accident. I got up early after a big night out to drive to work. I was working 2 jobs in 2 different petrol stations. I was doing midnight closes and 6 a.m. opens at these 2 different petrol stations. I had my first ever girlfriend staying with me from England. I'd just come back from Europe, done my gap year over there after high school, and I was working really hard to pay off the money that I'd borrowed to make that trip happen. So I was super tired and burnt out, and I fell asleep at the wheel on the way to work and crashed into a telegraph pole. We call them Stobie poles here in Adelaide. And not really thinking, jumped out of the vehicle, had blood running down my head. And the only thing I could think of is I don't want to get fired, so I'm going to get to work and make sure that I don't lose my job. That's the most important thing right now. So I basically hitched a ride to continue on my way to work, leaving my car behind. And I got to work and rang my mum, said, shock started kicking in, and rang my mum and said, I've had a car accident, I'm at work. And she rang my dad, who was already at work in the city, and he came straight away to support me. They rang my boss, he came in to take over. They took me into hospital to check for any injuries, and I was okay and went home. And this was my first real rock bottom. This, in hindsight, was a cry for help. The thing is, my memory of the response of my parents was more about was I being adequately punished for my behaviour, and they were caring enough, as parents are, but the distinct memory that I have is them saying, well, we don't need to punish you because you've had enough punishment. And I'll always remember that. So looking back, what I needed then was a series of questions. I needed someone to say, hey, what happened? What led to this? What's going on for you? What's wrong? Why has this occurred? And help me feel safe enough to share about my experience that led up to this event, and be able to share openly, honestly, and vulnerably about what led to it and how I feel about it, how I feel about life. That would have made a very big difference in my life. Instead, I felt a lot of shame. I felt isolated. I felt that I had to be my own person, and that I wasn't, even as a young person, 18 years old, that I wasn't able to really rely on anyone else. And whether these messages were overtly actually stated to me or not, these were the messages that I picked up from that occasion. And this week in my men's group, we were asked to consider and think about our life and our transition from childhood to adulthood, and what we needed to do that well, what we needed to go from childhood through our adolescence and into adulthood. And the main thing that arose for me in that was that I needed someone or people that I could talk to about all of my stuff. I needed people that would listen to me without judgment. I needed people that would hear my situation and let me know that it was reasonable for me to have thoughts, feelings, and behaviours. Whether or not they were right or wrong. I just needed someone to let me know that it was understandable and normal as part of my progression and my development as a human being to go through thoughts, feelings, and behaviours. Because without that person, things became very secretive. Things became very shameful, shame-ridden, and isolating. And so it's taken another 25 years to find communities and ways of feeling safe enough and having that capacity to share. And only now am I able to acknowledge my thoughts, feelings, and behaviours, share them into safe enough spaces where I don't feel judged, where I'm allowed to be as I am. I can receive guidance, usually through just listening to other people share in similar ways. And it is very, very healing to have that opportunity to feel not alone in how I am and how I think, to feel connected through empathy with other human beings. So I wish this for all humans. I wish that all humans had the opportunity, the outlet, to feel safe enough to share their full truth, the things that they're proud of and the things that there is shame or fear, sadness, anger about. All of these things are welcome in a human and need to be brought through and forward and out, to be received with compassion, with care, with love, and unconditional positive regard. This is vital for human flourishing. I'm so grateful that I have it in my life, and I wish it for everyone, especially our young people. As a school teacher and a school counsellor, I talk to young people every day and I let them know that they are acceptable as they are, that they're transitioning from childhood to adulthood, and that's difficult in this world, and that reaching out for help is strength. It is not a sign of weakness. I have many messages for the young people and for all the people of the world, and I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to share them.